Hi and welcome to the Property Doctor podcast with me, your host, Dr. Andrew Threadgold. In this episode of the podcast, we're talking to Sam Cooke, the owner and editor of Blue Bricks magazine. I've been in Blue Bricks myself, and Sam is a really nice young fella who's on an entrepreneurial journey of his own, and he's only in his 20s. So for someone to be so entrepreneurial in spirit and to have such deep thoughts about life and what life means to him at such a young age is actually, I'm quite envious, to be honest. So I'm sure he's on the right track when it comes to, setting his life out for himself and for those that he loves. As you know, I've been away recently. The past few weeks, there's not been a great deal of action, certainly on YouTube, and that's because I've been, as I said in the last one, I've been away trying to buy businesses. In actual fact, there's been an awful lot gone on over the past few weeks. So one of our properties in a place called Seaton Carew has been through a refurb, and that's finished now. That's live and accepting bookings, and we've had some fantastic bookings actually already in terms of duration and value. We've also got the tall ships race coming to Hartlepool, which is very near Seaton Carew, and our seafront property looks right at the sea. Obviously it's seafront and you can see the boats coming past, so those weeks have been booked out already. We've got another property in Redcar, which is another sea view kind of property that's nearly done, so that's in the final stages of its renovation and getting ready for carpets and things, so that'll be going live soon. Our Liberty Stays property has been going great guns as the weather's changed and the people are going on holiday, so that's doing really well. We've one of the big site that's active at the minute is a house with a bit of subsidence that we've basically demolished the back end of it, and that's being rebuilt with some mammoth steels in it, so that's been happening. The Seaton one, I'll try and put some pictures up somewhere if I can, so you can see what that looks like. But that's a very special place, and coordinating all this takes quite a lot of effort, as you can imagine, especially when you're trying to order materials for one place, sort out tradesmen at another place, arrange the decorator over here, look at the bookings over here, communicate with the guests over there. So it's a challenge. And then on top of that, I've been trying to get some businesses over the line. So when I left you last time, I was trying to get to heads of terms with a couple. What happened there is I've agreed heads of terms with one verbally, going to meet them in the next week to get it all signed off properly, and I've got sort of verbal heads of terms with another, but the guy's on holiday, and heads of terms are kind of the first milestone, the big milestone before you go into the legal work, before you exchange and complete on the business. So it's quite a milestone. On top of that, I've got a significant amount of interest which I'm progressing towards heads in the haulage sector, which is a sector I really would love to get into, and I'm actively pursuing that. In fact, I'm going to see, as we sit here today, I'm going to go and see someone's haulage yard tomorrow and speak to the owner and see if we can get something sorted. But it takes a lot of effort doing this because, I must approach one way or another nearly 1,000 businesses a month. And out of that, I might get a dozen inquiries back a week, that kind of thing, maybe a dozen a fortnight. It depends on how interested people are, and those things take a lot of time to discuss because there's nobody else that can do it. You're trying to get a relationship with the business owner, to come up with some sort of kind of agreement that works for them, and then progress it to sharing financials and deal structures and things like that before you then go and sit down and try and get heads of terms drawn up. So, and not everyone ends up progressing to a second or third meeting. A lot of them are like, well, if you make me an offer, I'll consider it. Well, that's not the way it's working for me. There's clearly enough interest that I don't need to be making offers. I'm looking for people that are actively trying to get out of their business, because 80% of businesses don't sell and end up getting closed. And sometimes owners want to hang on and try, and that's fine. Everybody wants the best deal they can, and I'm not trying to pull anybody's pants down, but I'm looking for people that are actively looking to sell. I'm actively looking to buy, and there should be a meeting of minds and a deal that works for both parties. Because if it's out of balance, if it's more in favour of me or more in favour of the owner, then it's probably not going to be a good deal at the end of the day. So there's a lot of effort goes into this, and when you've got everything else going on, it's I'm starting to go grey, more grey already. It's a challenge, but do you know what? I'm absolutely loving it. I don't think I've ever felt as alive as I do at the minute. I feel like I'm back in my late teens when I had all the verve and vigour, and I was a young thrusting buck trying to sort my way through medical school. But I feel like that now. It's really given me a new lease of life. This new calling, so I'm loving it. Unfortunately, I can't share any details with you because bound by non-disclosure agreements, etc. But what I will say is that the deal structures might be completely different to what you're expecting. The traditional turn up with a gold check and write a big check and away the seller goes. That's not how buying businesses works. Certainly not in the 20th, 21st century. Anyway, that's enough about that. Let's get back on with Sam. So I'll hand over to me, talking to Sam, talking to me, about his journey through his ownership of Blue Bricks and whatever else he thinks is going to happen in the future, which I'm sure will be very bright for this young man. And I will fill you in with any further details as I get them throughout my business acquisition coming months. Anyway, that's enough waffle from me. Hope you're enjoying the podcast. Please leave me comments, thumbs up, subscriptions, whatever it is that people do on YouTube. And I'll see you very soon. All the best. Take care. Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of the Property Doctor podcast. It's been a couple of weeks since I was back, but this time we've got Sam Cooke for your audible pleasure. Not the singer, but just as good. It's Sam Cooke, the editor of Blue Bricks magazine, who's joining us today. And we're going to talk about all things related to magazines and property and business and private equity, and who knows where else we'll end up with this conversation. But how are you doing, Sam?
I'm not bad. For the people listening at home, I wouldn't say my voice is as good as the Sam Cooke with my dulcet northern tones, but thank you very much for having me today, Andrew.
No, absolute pleasure. We've been trying to do this for a while, haven't we? But it's things always get in the way, don't they? It's just crackers.
No, I know it is. I know you've been busy as well, buying businesses and can't do anything else.
We're trying, getting there. Yeah. So, how did Sam Cooke end up becoming editor of Blue Bricks magazine? Where did all that come from?
It was a really elongated story, to be honest, mate. And I never expected for it to happen. It was never kind of part of the plan, so to speak. So when I was 19 years old, so I'm 24 now, because I get that question asked a lot, because I'm kind of quite baby-faced. I'm 24 years old, yeah. And so I'd worked from 16 till about 19. I've always worked in corporate. I got an apprenticeship. And when I hit about 19, I was due to go traveling to Southeast Asia, which I did, Vietnam and Thailand and that kind of thing, time in my life. But before I went traveling, the short story was, I'd made a promise to myself was that, look, I want to start a career. I'd always wanted to do, we spoke about this bit before the podcast came on. I'd always wanted to be free. I felt there was more to life. It's why I was going traveling. I wanted to know what and I made a promise to myself, like, look, I'm going to come back and I'm going to work on myself, and I'm going to try and see what more is, and I'm going to settle into a career and not just a job where I'm working 9 till 5, not happy, not fulfilled. So I went traveling, came back, and I just fell in love with property. I was looking it up online. I was probably like your typical course junkie that people have a bad reputation of today, where it's like doing my weekend free course on the YouTube videos, looking at my podcasts. But I fell in love. Obviously, as you get more into it, you see that's quite unrealistic. But I just love the idea of property being a tangible asset. Like everything else, I looked at Forex, a bit boring for me. It's all numbers, but property were exciting. So came back, became an assistant, lost my job in COVID. And in COVID, I thought, right, I've got nothing but time. So I'm going to set up a property sourcing business, because 2 weeks, we're going to flatten the curve. We're going to be out of COVID. It's going to be brilliant. And yeah, you know how that went. So trying to source properties in lockdown when the market was an all-time high was, it was not the
very
easiest.
tricky.
Yeah, it was awful, mate. And getting, investors lying and going behind my back. And I learned a lot of lessons. That business didn't go brilliantly at all, but I learned so much from it. And in that time, I'd hit a bit of a rut where I'm like, is COVID ever going to end? I think we all felt like that. Is
Mm,
property sourcing going to be a dead thing? Is it dead in the water? And Nathan, no, it wasn't Nathan, it was Caroline Monks, the editor of Blue Bricks magazine. Basically, we got connected and she said, look, why don't you come work with Blue Bricks while you run your sourcing business? We've got loads of investors. We can show you the ropes and you can learn from Nathan Winch, who don't know if anyone knows who Nathan Winch is, highly accomplished business owner and entrepreneur, and he can kind of teach you the ways of business, which I've been sorely lacking from a background. Don't look, my family, my friends are not in business, so I'd
mm,
never had that figurehead. So I ended up working for Blue Bricks magazine, and I was on the train going to Blue Bricks, and I felt so exciting. I fell in love with business, looking at the magazines. I thought, this is amazing, I love it. And I worked for that as their marketing manager for a few months. Worked with Nathan with his private equity firm, helping him to buy businesses. And then, long story short, mate, they sold Blue Bricks magazine to me last year.
right.
Nathan and Caroline were looking for an exit. They knew I was passionate about the business. I'd had experience in property and working for the magazine, so it was just a good fit. And yeah,
Mm,
that's how I came into ownership.
yeah, fantastic. So you put yourself in the position really to get an opportunity, didn't you? Which is what it's all about. I wish I'd have been so entrepreneurial. I mean, I'm actually double your age, and I wish I was like you when I was that age. I was too busy trying to get a career in, trying to get out of my background, which was from a council estate. So
How about you've
yeah,
lived some life with what you've done and accomplished, and now what you're doing as well.
yeah. I mean, I don't regret it. I just, I have people mess. You'll get it all the time as well in your position, but I get people messaging me all the time. You know, can you help me with this? Can you teach me how to do that? This, that, and the other. And I look at the ages of them, and they're 21, 19, and I just think, yeah, of course I'll help, because I wish I was like that. If I'd have been like that then, who
Yeah.
knows what would have happened. But everything takes time, and I think people just want a quick fix, don't they? And life doesn't work like that, does it?
No, it doesn't. I've learned that. Like, it's a long, hard game. And this is what Caroline and Nathan showed me as well, is what you see on social media sometimes just is so the opposite of real.
Mm,
People don't show the failures, and trying to get any modicum of success it's a hard graft,
yeah,
What is it, like 80 or 90% of businesses fail in the first 5 years? It's a
yeah,
slog, So for every 100 people who see on Facebook promoting the business, to think maybe only 10 of them are in 5 years' time are still going to have a business, it's frightening.
yeah,
It's not easy at all.
yeah. And I mean, just talking about blue bricks for a second, people might look at you and think, well, you know, relatively young fella, look at the position he's in. But then I know, because I've seen you, that you do a lot of miles going to networking all over the country, don't you? You put the graft in to try and get the word out.
Yeah, man, I think there isn't a corner of the UK I don't think I've not touched for Blue Bricks magazine at
Is
this
that
point.
right?
Yeah, I mean, that was the hardest thing. So I bought Blue Bricks magazine. You buy a business, and it has an established brand, and it was fantastic. And you'll know this, Andrew, but it needed a lot of work. It needed a lot of marketing, is what it needed. It needed someone to do that. So the past year has just been HMO awards. We're now partners with LMPG, the landlord.
All right. Yeah.
Landlords. I'm at their events tomorrow, giving out magazines. I'm at networking events. We sponsor things. So yeah, it's been a lot of miles. But I put a post out recently. I finally got to a point where I enter a room and I go, "Oh, Blue Bricks magazine." I go, "Oh yeah, I know who you are." And it's such a nice feeling. So now, after a year of just pushing and pushing and pushing, it's finally got to, I know who you are, and not who are you again? Are you Purple Bricks? And now I think they've gone into administration. So
Yeah, definitely not purple brick.
yeah, yeah, not pretty funny. I don't know if that one's too soon, but yeah, it's worked out well.
Yeah. So have you managed, with all that effort, have you increased your kind of readership, the volume that
Yeah,
you shift?
yeah. So the readership's up to 14,000 now.
Is it really? Wow.
It shot up from where we was. So that's through strategic partnerships and stuff like that we do. That the in terms of the profit, I was looking at the forecast yesterday. from where we started to where we are now, it's worlds apart. We've managed to more. I think I can't remember the figures, but I think we've probably quadrupled the profit potentially
Wow,
in the
well
past
done.
year. You know, a lot. There's a lot of stuff behind the scenes as well that's maybe not as sexy as numbers and figures, but just stuff that's been fixed and rectified and made the customer journey a little bit better. And it, by the way, I'm not saying this like when I brought Blue Bricks there was anything wrong, because the brand was phenomenal. It's just stuff that over a year has been tweaked and changed to improve. As you know, I feel like we're finally in the position where it's almost not, it's not where we dream of being, but we're on the road to kind of where we want to be.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds fantastic what you've done there, and but it's the consistent effort, isn't it? You don't just go to one networking. I've seen you like posting that you're all over. I've seen you at our networking events up in the Northeast, but it's consistent, persistent effort that
Yeah,
that leads to things to change for you, isn't it?
part of the furniture, mate. I think when I first met you up in it was up near Newcastle, where I was driving back and my phone died and didn't have a charger, and I spent 40 minutes stood in the petrol station while it charged behind the counter because that was my GPS. So it's been lots of funny things like that, getting back at midnight having an absolute nightmare, but it's paying off, like I say.
Yeah, brilliant, absolutely fantastic. So, where's that accent from? Is that Leeds?
That is, yeah, this is a cross between Leeds and Bradford,
Right.
and a little bit of Southern, I think. So it's
A little
different.
bit of Southern as well.
So,
Whereabouts is the Southern?
so my stepdad, so into personal life, my mum and dad split up when I was really, really young. So I had my stepdad who's from the south, and he's from like Hounslow, cross between Hounslow and Bradford. You'd think I'm rough as hell, wouldn't you? But yes, it's a bit of a cross of that, really. So it's awful because I'm too posh for Yorkshire, but I leave Yorkshire and no one can understand me.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah,
a strange accent.
yeah. No, well, I think I picked you up quite well. I'm from West Riding. Well, it was West Riding of Yorkshire when I was a kid, so Saddleworth and kind of that area. It's now Lancashire, but when they keep moving the boundary, and I've spent all my life in and around places like this, apart from when I was down south for a while. But yeah, so you mentioned that you'd done a corporate apprenticeship. Was that related to marketing, or what was that?
That was I worked for a building society. So do you remember Northern Rock and Bradford?
Yeah, I had a mortgage with Northern Rock, and it was a negative
Well,
equity when I got divorced.
oh, sorry, sorry to that, mate, it sounds bad, but yeah, they merged into I think it was UCAR, and then UCAR was bought by Computer Share and Share. So it was, yeah, it was that. So it was a lot of finance administration, and I'll be honest, mate, I don't think I've ever told anyone this publicly. It was horrendous because the um the first apprenticeship I started out in was recoveries. And it was literally going through people like, I can't pay my mortgage, I've got terminal cancer, and you have to send a letter to go, yeah, I know, but you still owe a bit of money.
Mm,
And I argued tooth and nail with so many people in that office, and I just don't want to do this. It's horrendous. And I said, well, that's the job. So I was thankful, and I'm not slagging off the company. Obviously, you've got to do what you got to do, but I never felt comfortable with it, so I was happy when I left that one. And then, yeah, I always worked in corporate offices, up until I left when I was 19 and went to Asia.
right. Wow. How long did you spend in Asia then?
I think it was close to 3 months. So we just
Right.
did a circuit of Thailand and all that kind of surrounding area.
Did it teach you anything about life, going seeing a different culture?
There we go. This one, a bit of a deep one for you. It taught me that everyone's trying to run away from something, but the reality of life is you've got to build something that you don't want to run away from, and that's the biggest lesson I got from traveling.
Mhm. You'll have to explain that to me. So,
Yeah, well,
how did you come to that realization?
because you go traveling, you go to Thailand, you go anywhere in the world, and it's backpackers, and they're all people that are trying to run away from something. Like maybe they've got something going on at home they're not happy with, they just broke up with the girlfriend or the boyfriend. A lot of people just don't want to work and want a taste of freedom, and they're all people that are in a way on the run. They don't want to settle or stop. It's we're living in the moment. We're never stopping because we're traveling. And I realize that yeah, but at some point you've got to come back home. Whether it's 3 months away, a year away, 2 year away, there's always going to come a point where you've got to stop running. And it's like, right, well, maybe the point of life is to build a life where you don't feel the need to run away. And if you want to travel somewhere, it's to go somewhere and enjoy that place and not be like, I need to get away from my problems. So that's
Mm,
what I took away from it.
yeah, there's a lot of sense in that. So, do you traveling once you've built something that can allow you to travel at your own without having to run away from something?
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly it. Or, just try and build a life in whatever sense that might be that you're just happy with,
Mm.
and find happiness in yourself before trying to find it, out there in the world, I think.
That's a very difficult thing for the vast majority of people to do, to be happy with
Um,
themselves, isn't it?
yeah, it is. I think that is the hardest part. And
Yeah.
it takes a lot of self-discovery. And I don't know if this is too deep for a property podcast, if
No,
we're
no, I love it.
if we're going down lines of mindset. But yeah, that was the biggest takeaway.
Yeah. So are you happy with yourself?
No, no, I'm not, because I'm someone who I always am the biggest self-critic in the world. I'm always wanting to be better than I am, and I know that that's wrong. I'm doing a lot of self-work to try and overcome that. But no, I have massive problems that hold me back that that I'm working on daily to overcome. But I wouldn't say that I'm there and I'm 100% just yet.
Yeah. So I sort of agree with like this whole being happy with yourself thing.
Mhm.
People, it's a difficult thing. It's a difficult hair to split, that, because I believe the purpose of life is to be striving for achievement. That's
Mhm.
my, and I don't believe that being happy, content, and doing nothing actually um, is the
Mhm.
purpose of life, because I think that nothing gets achieved if that's the case. People, that's the average. Most people are in that, and that's fine. But society doesn't move forward, and the communities within society don't move forward by everybody being average and just run of the mill. So my purpose, and I believe everybody's purpose, really is to look for something to achieve and to get better at. And when you look at people, that may be Mr. Average, when they're not at work or whatever and they're doing something, they will find something in their life that they spend a lot of time doing. It might be playing computer games, it might be riding bikes, but there's something that they put a lot of energy into. So they are striving for something, but it's not channeled in a way that's constructive to society. So there's definitely striving is the purpose of life, and you can't fully do that if you're fully happy with yourself, or maybe you can and I don't know it yet. But so that's my take on that.
I think you're right. That's the thing. That's a curse of like entrepreneurship, isn't it? And I never describe myself as an entrepreneur, but I think that's the curse that a lot of people face, is that people like Nathan, the people I learned from, always striving to do more, to do better, to do bigger. And it's like, yeah, but maybe the point of happiness is stopping. But then as an entrepreneur, you never want to stop. But
Mm.
yeah, I see what you're saying. I think it was James Sinclair who put out a video recently. It was really good. He said, it's entrepreneurs that change the world. It's entrepreneurs that find new technology and open new businesses. So you're right, even if not everyone is on that wavelength, entrepreneurs as a whole need to exist for society to function, really.
Yeah, well, yeah, I've got a lot of time for James. He was on the podcast, the episode before you, so it was my last episode. So yeah, if you haven't had a listen, it's well worth a listen and a watch on YouTube.
Oh, he's brilliant. I interviewed him for the magazine recently. So today I've literally just picked up the latest issue of Blue Bricks magazine from the printers. And the one after this one that's just come out, he's on the front cover. So I interviewed him and he's unbelievable. In
Yeah.
about 30 to 40 minutes, I felt like I'd had a masterclass on business. He's really switched on guy. So yeah, I'll listen to that podcast, Andrew.
Yeah, if I do say it myself, it's a cracker. But yeah, he's an interesting guy. He really is an interesting fella. But
Yeah.
I tried to do an accent to my wife. My wife was saying, "Who's this guy that you going on about, that you've been interviewing?" So I tried. I know we want to be frugal on costs, so we can be generous on investment. But I can't do a decent impression. But yeah. So you've got an interest in marketing, though, haven't you?
I do, yeah. So marketing, everything from Blue Bricks, and even when I ran the sourcing business, stemmed from marketing. So the issue I had when I was running sourcing, a lot of people follow the problem, where do I find investors? I never had that issue. I had an abundance of investors. And that all came through marketing. I've always been quite good at it. And obviously marketing Blue Bricks, and Blue Bricks success. So when we say being up and down the events and growing the readership to 40 and all of that, every bit of success Bluebricks has had has been in marketing. And James Sinclair basically says that every business owner is a marketer of their own business. It's your main role. So we've been doing marketing for some time on the side. I had people coming to me saying, I love what you're doing with your sourcing business. Can you do the same with mine? So today, like literally today, I was telling you it's perfect time for the podcast. We've launched a new business, which is going to be a sister company of Bluebricks Magazine called We Are Property Marketing. And it is a digital marketing agency devoted exclusively to the property sector. So helping property investors, developers, sources, estate agents, helping them to raise private finance, find off-market deals, and grow into a proper scalable business. Rather than people in around networking events, trying to find one investor for a deal that it takes them 3 months to source. So I'm really passionate about that business and helping just as many people as I can.
That's interesting. So what can people expect if they sign up? So say Corner Plot signs up, because I'm always looking for private investment in case if anyone's watching. That's an impromptu plug. But yeah, so if Corner Plot signs up, what could I expect?
I mean, the first part is strategy. So it's, a lot of people say, right, I want an investor. And hopefully, if anyone's listening to this, please don't see this as a pitch because you'll actually get a lot of value from this. Everyone I do a strategy call with, we do this and I walk away mind blown. So hopefully it helps. It's people say, I want an investor. Okay, well, what does an investor look like to you? Is it a business owner? And when you say a high net worth business owner, is that someone like yourself who's very experienced investing in private equity? Or is it someone who's a business owner, 2 or 3 staff, turning over a couple of £100,000 and don't know what to do with it? Is a high net worth someone who's just won a claim? I know it sounds happens, or someone who's inherited a lot of money. Is an investor someone who's maybe not high net worth, but they're a doctor like yourself who's sat on a bit of money that they don't know what to do with? And there's someone in a full-time job who's looking to leave that full-time job. So the start of any journey in marketing, even if people do this on their own and don't work with us, it's just narrowing down what it is that you're looking for. Because when you know, okay, I'm not looking for a private investor anymore. I'm looking for a 30-year-old business owner who lives in London, whose turnover is over £200,000, and his pain point is that he doesn't want to pay a massive tax bill. He wants somewhere to put his money, but he doesn't know where to do it. He's not interested in scaling his business, and he likes tangible things like assets. That person goes from being an investor, and he slowly but surely you build them into a real person. When you've done that and you've got this real person there, that's when we can say, well, how do we get you in front of that person? Do we do that by Facebook ads? Do we do that by PPC, Google ads? Do we do that by getting you a really nice website and driving traffic to it? Do we do that with direct response letters? Do we do it by just going to networking events? Where is this person that we've created and what do they want to see? So that, in the shortest term, is what you could expect, really, if that covers it.
So you start off with an avatar, a business or an investor avatar, and then you try and target them with different ways of marketing.
Yeah, definitely. That's it. It's James Sinclair I know I keep going back to James, but he did a really good, on the interview that he did for Bluebricks, really good analogy, and he kind of sums it up really well. He said all marketing is, I'm paraphrasing, but he said all marketing is, it's finding the person you want to target, finding their pain points, hitting them with the right message and the right headline, and then finding the right media that person's going to consume. When you bring those things together, that's when you've got success in marketing.
Sounds, yeah. I mean, you sent me a message a while ago, asking for suggestions of people that might be a good fit for Bluebricks. And I've done the first guy that opened this season of the podcast called Paul Anderson, who has an Instagram account called The Social Media Hotelier. And he's an Instagram marketeer, basically. He's got a bed and breakfast in Oxfordshire, and he does marketing purely and only on Instagram. And he's quite interesting. And I thought about him, but I thought it's maybe a bit specific, but it might be worth having a look at because he's an interesting guy. He's very likable, and in terms of marketing, who knows? It might be of interest to you. It might help with this new business that you've set up. You never know.
Well, it's worth a look. I mean, in terms of features for Bluebricks, the thing I always ask myself when I bring someone on like yourself, you feature in Blue Bricks magazine, you know,
I did.
is this person going to add value to the readers? You know, is this person going to? All I ever want for my readers is them to open the magazine, to sit down on Saturday morning, they open the magazine. I just want them to read it and go, "Wow, that was brilliant. That was so helpful." And as long as that's happening, I'm happy. So yeah, you know, stuff like that is brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? It's just a suggestion,
Yeah.
but it's interesting that you know, with you having a marketing thing, that the reason I knew about kind of avatars, if you like, is because of the conversation I'd had with Paul. But yeah, okay. So are you going to be able to measure the results from your marketing? Is that something you can do?
Yeah, so the good thing about digital is that, like for example, SEO PPC, you can track. So I'll give you a live example. We had a property sourcer in Cambridge who wanted to attract more off-market deals. He's now on the first page of Google for search terms like sell my house fast, sell my house quick, sell my house for cash. Quite motivated people. What you can do with Google Analytics is you can say, look, how many people have visited the website? Around 100 people have visited, and okay, so that's 10% conversion. The 90 people that dropped off, where did they drop off? Why did they drop off? Okay, they dropped off halfway through the website. So what we need to do is we need to put a call to action there, or we need to change the copy to make it a bit more engaging. And that's all traceable. We do monthly reports so that people can see that. And it's testing and tweaking and until you get it perfect, really. And
Mm.
that's the good thing with digital. The problem you've got with like leaflets, and this isn't me shooting down leaflets, I've got the place. You send out 5,000 leaflets and let's say 4,000 people rip them up or bin them. You don't know why they did that. There's no way you knowing if they did it because the design was poor, they didn't like your branding, the headline wasn't engaging, the copy was, you know, poor, or
Mm.
maybe the leaflet was just irrelevant to those 4,000 people. You've no way of tracking that. But with digital stuff, you can, you know, you've got a good idea of what's going on.
Yeah, that's a, you know, talking about leaflets, I've got boxes of them here.
Oh yeah,
That
is that for the
every
property
property
business?
person does.
It's a good job I didn't shoot them down then, isn't it? That could have been.
No, I mean, it is.
That's
You're
not
right,
public.
though. I mean, what you've said there is absolutely right. But they have their place, don't they? So it's all about targeting. You don't just go and drop a load of leaflets across the town. You might find you know, if there's a particular type of property you want, you might just target those particular streets or just properties either side of the one that you actually want. So you know, it's all you have to target
Yeah.
with every type of marketing, I suppose.
You do. I'm looking to do it in an area up near me as well. It's got the place. Oddly enough, I was speaking to a guy in a strategy call this morning and asked me about that. I said, are leaflets and direct to vendor marketing irrelevant? And I said, no. I said, if budget wasn't an issue, right, and you had an unlimited budget, you do everything. You do leaflets, you do the PPC, you do SE, you do the full lot and see what's working. So yeah, I think if you've got the time and the budget, do it. But what I found when I was property sourcing is there's two of the worst things I've ever experienced in this life in business is number one, giving out leaflets in a roughish area. Well, not a rough area, but you know,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's not pleasant. Giving
In a rough
leaflets. It's
area,
like
yeah.
shotgun through the letterbox as you're walking up to it. You know,
Yeah.
um, but the second one has been up a tree with bandit boards when you've got the local council shouting at you. So yeah, it's.
Did you try that?
Oh yeah, I did the bandit bars. I absolutely covered my area one evening. I absolutely covered it. And then I got the phone calls next day on. Oh, I've got a house for sale. Oh, have you? What have you got? Oh, it's a dollhouse. Oh, thanks for that one, mate. You know, got loads of them. And I think that's why the marketing business has been going so well in the background because I genuinely I get it. You know, when property people come to me, I've bloody been there myself with the leaflets and the big yellow board and the neighbour coming out saying, "Don't you put that there? I'll kick your head in." I've done it all.
Yeah.
So yeah, digital's much easier.
Yeah. Yeah. That's absolutely right. Yeah, I never oh, good. Well, you mentioned earlier that there'd been some eye-opening moments when you were sourcing, and I wondered what you meant. But
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, it's that puts a lot of people off even trying as well, though, doesn't it? You know, because they hear the stories about people ringing them up. Don't put any more bloody leaflets through my letterbox.
yeah,
You know, why are people so bothered? Just screw it up and put it in the bin, man. You know,
yeah.
people get very protective over it, don't they?
You know what? I've come to the conclusion now that you've got to put yourself out there, and put yourself at risk of judgment for it to go. There's going to be someone in there that's got something to say about what you do. especially in business. As soon as I opened my first business, my nan were a business coach. Everyone's a business coach. You've just got to put yourself up to the scrutiny and accept that you're going to get it. So
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I don't mind some of Grant Cardone's stuff.
mm,
Some of the stuff that he talks about, I actually see a lot of sense in. And one of the things is, it's not your lack of income that's the problem. It's not your lack of customers. It's not, that you're not doing enough. It's the fact that nobody knows who you are. That's where your problem lies. If you're trying to run a business and grow it, it's not that your product's shit. It's that nobody knows you. You haven't got any eyeballs on you. So you've got to get penetration in the market somehow. And it's all to do with marketing, isn't it?
that's exactly it. I mean, if I want to drink, you might think Coca-Cola. If I said to you, name me a trainer company, you might say Adidas. You never, not, you might never be Adidas or as big as Adidas, but what you want it to be is at least in your circle. When someone thinks sell a property, I want to think, oh, Andrew Fredgold, obviously. Oh, I need to sell a business, so Andrew buys businesses. That's what you want your marketing to be. Even if it's not on a national level, you still want to be relevant in your sphere. So with me, someone thinks property magazine, Blue Bricks. That's that. You are right. That is kind of the goal of your marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you were back when you were sourcing, did you learn any lessons about human behavior? Maybe did you run into any dodgy investors, maybe, or?
Yeah, plenty of them, mate. Number one, I had to get always listen to your gut instinct. That's what I learned. If your gut instinct is telling you, oh, this person's a bit dodgy, even if you've got no reason to just trust it. I had it with one guy, and basically he was an investor in my area. And he rang me, said, I want to invest with you. And I said, well, you're in the same area as me. Why would you do it? It's like, I've just not got the time, mate. If you saw deals, I'm happy to pay for it. I just don't have the time. What he was doing is he was waiting for me to negotiate the price down on the property viewing, send it to him. He'd find what property it was. And then he'd go to him and go, all right, I know you've negotiated the price down there. It's still offer $2,000 more. And then do it without paying him a sourcing fee. That were a cracking one. We had estate agents, your backstreet estate agents who, it was definitely a case of brown envelope. It's, oh yeah, I know we accepted your offer, but my mate Darren's coming and you know how it is. So your offer that we've agreed to, yeah, we're just going to withdraw that now. So yeah, I saw all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah, you do. I mean, what you just said there reminds me of a property that was in my pipeline up until recently, and it's ended up disappearing. The seller is it's a long convoluted story, and I'm not going to go into it, but it's disappeared, this property, and it's because of a friend of the estate agent, let's just put it like that. So
right, okay, is coming into that. Yeah,
yeah, there's all sorts goes on behind the scenes, isn't there? People, estate agents are in a funny position, but it's the smaller ones that are the ones that are more open to manipulation, I think, by less than 100% ethical investors, maybe.
Yeah, I find estate agents funny because properties are cycled and estate agents forget that. So when it's like now and properties, you go into a letting agent now and you pitch like rent to rent, rent to SA, like, oh, I put up a property this morning and it sold yesterday. They're going that fast. They get really arrogant with property investors, but then you forget when the market changes, it's that they need,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Property people are the only ones buying when the market changes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I had one letting agent who was quite arrogant. They said, oh, we don't even keep records of tenants anymore because we don't need them because they're selling that fast. And I thought, as soon as the market changes, you are going to be banging your head against that wall for saying that. So yeah, they are in an odd position. Someone put themselves in that way. But yeah, they're a strange breed, and that's coming from someone that used to be an estate agent. But some of them are lovely. Some of them are absolutely amazing. I know a couple in my area. But
no, I don't generally have a problem with them. I've got friends that are agents, but like you say, some of them make choices that it's a bit like, doctors. Some doctors bring the rest of the profession down. Some lawyers do the same.
Yeah.
Some footballers bring the profession of being a footballer down. But there's always people make choices that put themselves in a position where word gets out.
and they're like that. You're gonna like this one, Andrew. There's a bit of a marketing one for you. There's probably one of the biggest letting agents in my area. They keep blanking me, they keep dodging me. It's like, yeah, she said she'll call you back, and they never do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get, and this is mental, I don't advise anyone do this, it's just my sense of humour. I'm going to get a polystyrene arm, I'm going to wrap it up, and I'm going to write a card that goes with it. It says, I give my left arm to have a coffee with you. Send that to them and just see if it comes through. Really marketing. You'd be surprised, some stuff like that does work.
Does it?
Yeah, oh yeah, sometimes. If you get the right person with the right sense of humour, they will ring you just because what you did was clever.
Yeah.
It can work. And then there's other cases where what's the worst you're going to do? Not talk to me. She's not doing that anyway. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I had an idea. I said to my wife, it was about 3 months ago, we've just opened another service accommodation property. We just finished it. And I was thinking about going in the local pubs where like all the people visiting the area go, and going in the urinals and putting stickers on the back of the urinals. Don't, like, so like there's a local hotel, go in the hotel into the urinals and put stickers on the back of it. Don't piss your money away here. Come and stay with us. That kind that kind of thing.
That's it. It's really good. But the stupid stuff like that, if I saw that, I'd be like, right, that's going on my Instagram because it's funny. And it's
yeah.
stuff like that that does get shared and go viral and makes people think, we're in a world that's saturated with adverts. You can't walk down the street without there being some sign trying to sell you something. Standing out, being funny, being a bit different. That really is the way forward.
Yeah, it's just the backlash of the local hotels,
Yeah.
just that was my wife's issue with it. But it's all about getting eyeballs on you, isn't it, at the end of the day? So sometimes, who knows, I might give it a go one day.
Yeah, see if it works. Let me know.
if I'm struggling for people to stay, I might give that a go. Yeah, mental. So when you caught my interest earlier on when you were talking about private equity and when you work with Nathan. Nathan's coming on the podcast shortly,
Oh,
so yeah, I do like Nathan, and I think Nathan runs like a quasi, whatever the word is, private equity firm. When you were involved in that, did you have experience in the way that businesses are bought, the way that finance is structured, the way that people can the methods that people can use to raise finance, and how you buy businesses and how you value them and all the rest of it? Was any of that within your arena when you were there?
no, working with Nathan was like, and Nathan is one of the most amazing people I've ever met. He's one of my closest friends. I'm actually taking him for dinner Friday, and he knows dinner's on me, so he's going to absolutely bankrupt me. Because as amazing as it is, I've never known a man be able to eat the way he can either. So I've slipped up there.
He has
It's
to fit into them jumpers somehow.
Yeah, I mean, if Blue Brits goes on a liquidation, you know what's happened.
Yeah.
So yeah, and he's fantastic, and when I came on board with him, it was like opening the door into a new world. The world of private equity is just unbelievable. The way that you can, it's like magic, buy businesses and, buy businesses with little money down, a little bit like the property crowd. It was fascinating. I had no idea until he brought me on board and explained what EBITDA was and how you actually value a business and what a business needs to be able to accomplish to be sold as an asset, and then who buys those businesses. It was really helpful. It was unbelievable.
Yeah. The next guest on the podcast is a guy called Jonathan J. Have
Right.
you ever heard of Jonathan J?
Yeah, and I know Jonathan. Yeah, he does some stuff on kind of buying businesses and doing it no money down as well.
Yeah, that's right. And Nathan's just been on Jonathan's podcast
Yeah.
not long ago. But Jonathan, I'm interviewing Jonathan next week, a few days' time.
Oh, nice.
Because I'm part of his little clique of business buying people.
Cool.
But yeah, I mean, it is a very interesting world that really, once you get your head around it, it's a wonder more people don't do it. I don't really. Everybody seems to, when you think of business, everybody seems to think, right, I've got to start my own. Oh, that's a great idea. We should make a business out of that. Let's start one. And the whole, as you said earlier, 90% of businesses fail in the first 5 years.
Yeah.
So rather than put all your effort and money and risk and everything else into those businesses, and as you are experiencing how difficult it is to build a brand and build a business, why don't
Yeah.
you put that time and effort into one that's already done it, that might be 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years old?
Yeah, it's already there. I
Yeah.
mean, it's one of those where I think, yeah, is it possible to buy a business for no experience? Yes, but you need to know how to run a business by a business. And that Blue Bricks, if I thought I knew anything about business, Blue Bricks taught me so much that I didn't know. And even now, I'm learning so much, and I'm surrounded by amazing people like Nathan and showed me. If it wasn't for like Blue Bricks, I wouldn't. If I went out and bought a business tomorrow before Blue Bricks magazine, it had collapsed within a couple of weeks. I think you need to know an element of business and making a business work to go, right, okay, now I get that. I can apply that to almost any business.
Yeah.
So what Nathan taught me was that, you look at business like I'm in a magazine business, and you're like Nathan's in haulage, and you've got another person who's in marketing. Nathan taught me that actually business is just business, and the industry is kind of irrelevant. And when you open your mind to that, buying businesses, like you say, you end up looking at all kinds of different things. And Nathan has got such a varied portfolio, and they're
Mm-hmm.
all so well. So yeah, I think it's an amazing world, but I think that's why more people don't do it. Is you need to know what you're doing to do it. Not,
That's a very good point. That's a very
yeah,
good point. I think you do have to have some understanding of what it takes to run a business,
yeah,
um, and you need to get some experience, because because you'd like credibility as well. So if you approach a business owner and say, look, I'd love to be able to buy your widget business,
yeah,
um, they'd say, well, what's your background in widgets? Well,
yeah,
I haven't got a background in widgets. So, well, what's your background in business? Well, I've never run a business before. Well, how on earth can you, it's not, when you buy a business, so the businesses I look at all have turnovers. I don't look at anything with a turnover of less than £1 million, and
yeah,
it's got to have a management team in place. Because I don't know the sector necessarily. I know some of the sectors, and I've got experience in various ways in various sectors, but I don't know certain sectors, but I don't need to. I'm going to have somebody on that management team that runs it for me. I'm going
yeah,
to be the strategy guy that above the whole group, because I'm trying to build a group or a portfolio of businesses. But the only reason I'm confident enough to do it is because I've built businesses within medicine. I've run my own business in medicine a few times. I've managed general practices, which are small businesses with turnovers of several £1 million. I'm involved in running them. All the I've obviously got my own businesses as well. So all the stuff that's involved in running a business, got experience in and can understand it, can talk the talk, and all the rest of it. Whereas if you've got none of that, it does put you at a disadvantage without a shadow of a doubt.
that's exactly it. And I mean, if you're looking at businesses like you are that are quite accomplished, you might get lucky. You might go a business owner goes, I'm not going to sell. I don't care. You're paying me, take it. A lot of the time, there's two things. Now, when you structure a business purchase, you'll know this for anyone listening. A lot of the time, you don't pay for the full amount up front. It's not a house, and you pay up front. You'll do what's called deferred consideration, which is basically pay some up front, you pay the rest over a set period of time. If you've got no experience in business and the business fails, the guy you've just bought it off, or the girl, isn't going to get paid. So it's in their best interest to sell it to someone experienced. And if they've got staff too, that's the second point, which you want to buy a business with, end up taking on a full-time job. And Blue Bricks didn't have staff, so it was a bit of a different purchase. If they lose their livelihood, that's a big thing. So
Mm.
yeah, you need to have some element to bring to the table to say, yeah, I've done this. I kind of know what I'm doing.
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, and that's an interesting point about deferred consideration, because I speak to literally dozens of business sellers at the minute. I send out an awful lot of letters, and I get quite a lot of replies. And literally, when you're sending thousands of letters out a month, you don't need a high percentage of replies to be busy talking to people. Do you know what I mean? So what I find is there's two things in this. The ones when you speak to a business owner who wants to exit for whatever reason, might be because they're unwell, might be because their partner's unwell, they've got a new grandkid, they want to get out, they've had enough, they want to retire, whatever it is. When you're speaking to someone directly who's never, and let's face it, most people have never sold a business. Most people think about starting a business, then they run it all their life and then sell it, and they've never sold a business before. So this is the first time they've done this. So when you're speaking to someone like that, you get one kind of conversation where you can explain about deferred consideration, all the rest of it. When you speak to the other type of person, which is someone that's explored how to sell and they've gone to a business broker or a business agent to try and sell it, and the business agent has said, oh yes, we'll get you £500,000 for this business that makes widgets and you make £50,000 profit, you know, they immediately they get told by the business broker, yes, you'll get everything up front, you'll get a stupidly high price for it that is not based on reality, just to get them to sign up, because that's the way they get the commission. And talking those people down is really difficult, but that's why only between 5 and 10% of businesses with agents actually get sold and the rest don't.
Yeah, but brokers are the estate agents of the business buying world, aren't they? They're there
Well, the worst, because
Yeah.
they're only incentivized to sign people up at the beginning, whereas estate agents get paid if they sell something. Business brokers get paid at the beginning to sign them up. So 80% of the brokerage staff is on signing people up and promising the world. And then they've got one little lad or lady at the back office that's now got 500 businesses to try and sell, and they can only make so many phone calls in a day to try and promote it. So none of them get sold, but loads of them get signed up.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? There's so much emotion in business too. You know, if you built something up, like I'm so passionate about our property marketing and Blue Bricks, I love it so much. And people can tell that when they meet me. To me, if I were to sell Blue Bricks, it wouldn't just be like selling an asset. There's emotion in that. And I think that's why a lot of people have valued the business too. Is it's like, yeah, I know you're saying it's only worth £250,000 because it can't run without me, but I've run it for 10 years and I love it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
there's quite a lot of that.
Yeah. And that's a really good point as well, actually, Sam, because when you speak to these people, a lot of them, so the mindset of the new business buyer, like myself, who's looking at buying something, when you first go into it, you think, well, it's all about the money. It's all about how much people will want. A lot of the time, that's secondary. A lot of the time, they're more bothered about, will you look after Jennifer in accounts, who I've known since she was 16. Now she's 50. You know, I've helped her when she was struggling. I've helped, I know that she's had 3 kids and la la la. And will you keep my business name? Because that means a lot to me. That's
Yeah.
all they're bothered about. Will you look after the staff and will you keep the name? Because that means the most to them.
Yeah, exactly. It's a strange world, and I think knowing this helps with marketing, private equity, knowing human psychology really helps with stuff like that. And if anyone's not read it before, fantastic book called Influence, really good. Robert Cialdini, highly recommend reading that, and How to Win Friends and Influence People too. Both very, very good books on human psychology and how people think when they're buying and selling, and negotiating around that in a good way.
Yeah, I've never read that. I've read How to Win Friends and Influence People, but Influenced by Robert Cialdini. I'll have a go at that.
Yeah,
Always looking for a good book.
it's like your master's version of How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's a bit more in depth, and it goes into social psychology and how, events. Basically, one of the bad ones is if ever there's a fire or some really bad crisis, you're not supposed to just scream for help because no one will help you. You've got to go like you in the red top, run and get a fire extinguisher. It's stuff like that, and then how that applies to sales and marketing. Really clever book if you get a chance to read it. I'm not on commission, I promise. It's just it's just a good book.
Fantastic. So coming back to Blue Bricks then for a second, what would you say you want to achieve with Blue Bricks over the next kind of few years?
With Blue Bricks, it's taken me on a personal level. It's opened up so many doors for me. I went from being, like I say, on a train, looking at podcasts, looking at people like Nathan Barr. These people are amazing. The celebrities, like everyone else will watch, I don't know, like Lewis Capaldi and think a celebrity. I was looking at people like Alistair Cunningham and stuff. Think, oh, what a celebrity! These guys are amazing. Look at what they're doing. Blue Bricks for me, despite maybe having my bubble burst about what some people put out online, it's been amazing to talk to people that I thought were celebrities before and meet people and go to these fantastic places that I never thought I'd get an invite to go to. Being at the HMO Awards, sponsoring LMPG, being a partner of LMPG, it's all amazing things that are happening on my life personally. And I love it. So my goals for Blue Bricks, I just want to create something that helps people. I just want people to read the magazine and go, this is fantastic. I've got so much value. It's taught me so much. I'm going to implement that in my business. And whether we have one reader or 25,000 readers, as long as I achieve that's all I want, and I'll be happy.
Fantastic. Just out of interest, what's the kind of market for, what's the total readership for property magazines in general?
That's a really good question. I honestly can't tell you. I know there's tens of thousands of landlords and property investors out there, but it's a difficult market because we see the active people that love property and into property and want to do it. There's a lot of the ones that are like, I'm a landlord and I hate it, but I've got 5 buy-to-lets. So I couldn't tell you, to be honest, but I know the number's shrinking. All the letting agents I've been speaking to have said all the landlords are selling up at the moment, or quite a lot of them. So yeah, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I was just interested because then if you knew that there were 100,000 people that read property magazines like yours and whatever else there is out there, I think I can think of another one. But it would be nice to see what your market share is, and maybe you could. That's a way to kind of milestone or some targets to achieve that. If you get to 60% market share, then that's a target or something.
Oh, you're right, actually. I need to look at it more financially because it is a business, but the nicest thing ever for me with Blue Bricks was, you've heard the typical marketing things where you want to get customers and you want to turn customers into raving fans. And I've always thought, what's a load of bollocks? Is anyone really excited about spending money? Like, is anyone really buzzing about it? I don't think they are. No matter how that bottle of Coke, I tell you something, Harry's paying at the counter for it. Or a bottle of water, I'm dehydrated and paying £2.50 for a bottle of water from a river. I hate it. And I thought, I thought, those bollocks, no one's going to be excited about it. But with like Blue Bricks, we run the events and we're getting people posting train journey on the way to Blue Bricks events. We're getting people taking selfies with their magazines. We're getting people sending in pictures of them with a cup of coffee reading the magazine. We've got genuine fans. We've got people commenting on things saying, are you a member of Blue Bricks? You need to be. People posting on social media. We've got genuine fans. And that, for me, changed my mindset about being a business. And it is still a business and I'm passionate about that. But seeing people being actual fans of something that I've put together just makes me so happy and content.
So it's rewarding, isn't it?
Oh, it's massively rewarding. A lot of work goes on behind the scenes that people don't see. So to see it land on someone's doorstep and then be really happy with the product and send me an email or a message and say this is the best issue I've read, it makes my day.
Yeah, brilliant. And then so with We Are Property Marketing that you've just launched, what's your first year's kind of aspiration for that?
First year aspiration. So we want to, the turnover was a modest £70,000. I say that it's not a small number, but it's not we're going straight for the middle. So financially, if people want to talk figures, we've already got 1 or 2 clients that alone could take that up to 50% with their spend. We've got some really good meaty clients on already that love what we're doing and are happy with the service. And then the goal for that is just to be the go-to agency and just to help people that want to make a difference, that are starting out on the journey, that don't know what to do, and help people kind of usher the property industry into the digital world and help businesses thrive, because investors, sources, estate agents, it's such a competitive market right now. People are just falling apart at the seams, and I want to help these people to build scalable businesses that are profitable.
Very good. I'm sure. Sounds like there's a good niche there that that you could do very well in. And then for you personally, what's next for Sam?
Yeah, I think for me, two goals. Number one is I want to be, I want to live life on my own terms. I want to see more of the world. I want to do what I said about traveling, which is I want to live life without running away from something. I want to build life that I'm happy with, however that may look. And I want to help people. I always come back to that, not just for Blue Bricks, but I want to do charity work, open my own charity, volunteering charity. If I won the lottery tomorrow, so you never need to work again. I love what I do, so I still would. I'd just volunteer with a charity. I just
Mm,
want to help people, and I think as long as I'm helping people and creating things, I'll live a content life.
yeah, very good. I like that a lot. And if anybody wants to hear more about you or look, find you and follow you and all the rest of it, where can people go to get you?
Yeah, so it's good news sharing a name with a famous soul singer because it's like instantly recognizable. It's hard when you try and find me online. So
Well, you need your
link,
SEO optimizing, don't you?
yeah, that's it. Go from Sam Cooke soul singer to Sam Cooke marketing. Um, Yeah, so yeah, LinkedIn, best bet for me. Sam Cooke, Blue Bricks Magazine. If you want my personal stuff, my personal brand, or you want to connect with me on a one-to-one basis, go on there. Happy to chat, have a coffee with anyone. Blue Bricks Magazine, we're online. Do not just type in Blue Bricks Magazine. You'll bring us up there. Go onto our website. You can sign up. We do the first month free, so you can get the magazine yourself, visit our events, and make up your own minds. We're also on Instagram too. Blue Bricks Magazine again. Those are the best platforms to reach us on. And we are property marketing. Is we are property marketing. It's literally that simple. If you follow that on Instagram, we're giving out weekly marketing tips. Like really, not your wishy-washy. Like remember to write a good headline. Like really in-depth, detailed marketing tips. Genuinely, if you just follow that page and see some of the stuff we do and implement it, you'll see results. So follow that. And then if ever you need a hand, drop me a message.
Fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. And I think people can tell from speaking to you and the way you come across that you're a lovely, genuine fella. So why wouldn't people want to connect with you?
No, thank you very much. I'm trying to get more of the personal stuff out there rather than hiding behind the magazine. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to come on today.
It's been an absolute pleasure. I've loved speaking to you, and we'll probably get you back on again, maybe 6 to 12 months, and see where you've got to, if that's all right.
Cool. Yeah, I'd love to. Thank you.
Brilliant. Well, Sam Cooke, thank you very much.